Good morning, everybody. So nice to see all of your faces. My name is Reverend Emily Bruce. I'm the minister of this congregation, and I want to welcome you all here. It is so good to be together. As Unitarian Universalists, we are a people of diverse beliefs, but we share a common faith, a faith that every single person is worthy of love, a faith that what we do in and for our world today really matters, and a faith that we are connected by an interdependent web to each other and to our earth home. So whoever you are, whoever you love, however you make meaning of the world around us, please know that you are welcome to be with us here this morning. Today in our service, we are continuing with our deep question of the month, how are we digging deep into our world, by talking a bit about power. We're talking about power today, how we use it, because we all do, how we abuse it, because we all do sometimes, and how our interpersonal interactions can actually impact the culture that surrounds us. How do we exert our power over others? What if we tried to share power instead? What would that look like? What are the building blocks of a world where power is shared with abundance instead of hoarded by fear of scarcity? And what would that look like in our day-to-day lives? So we're going to get to all that a little bit later on in the service. But for now, I invite you, as I do at the beginning of all of our services, to get comfortable in your seat. If you're feeling a little tense or you've got something in your neck or your shoulders, just try to shake it loose. And if you have your phone with you, which I know you all have your phone with you, what am I saying? Please take this moment to silence it. And also maybe put it down on the seat next to you instead of in your pocket or in your somewhere where you'll feel it when it buzzes. I know we're all getting a lot of texts these days, donation requests, etc. So maybe physically separate yourself from your device for the next hour if you can. And join me now in taking a deep breath in and out. Really let it go. In one more time. And out. And you are invited to do that anytime you feel it necessary throughout the next hour. That deep breathing, even if that's all you take away from this service, it will help. So, our service will begin by lighting our chalice, which is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. I'd like to ask for a volunteer to come up and light the chalice while Amanda Pine, who is our worship associate, reads our chalice lighting word. So adults, children, ooh, I saw a hand. Steve? Are you sure? Come on up. Let's give a hand for Steve. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Amanda Pine, and I'm on the music committee. This morning, we light our chalice with these words by Adrian Graham, a UU from the congregation of Rockville, Maryland. We kindle a flame of power, illuminating the holy in each of our faces. We recognize in the flame a passionate commitment to our shared faith. We are held and carried from day to day, week to week, in the shining of the light. This flame is mine as well as yours. We are brought together on this day, called to growth, to expansion within its glow. What does your heart know while beholding this holy fire? Come, let us worship together. I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 293, O Star of Truth, in the gray hymnal.
My name is Laura Sanda, and I am the Director of Religious Enrichment here at First Parish, which means I coordinate all the kids' stuff. It's become a bit of a tradition for us to have a special blessing of the backpacks for the kickoff of our RE program each year, which coincides with the start of the school year for a lot of kids. And while, yes, I oversee the children and youth here, obviously we all know that's not the only place learning is happening, and our kids aren't the only ones doing the learning. So, one of our shared values, transformation, is about just this, how we're all learning and changing all throughout our lives. Today's blessing is for everyone. So, I am going to invite you all to hold in your lap or in your thoughts your version of a backpack. It might be an actual bag of some kind, backpack, gym bag, dance bag, diaper bag, purse, knitting bag, or it might be a cell phone or a laptop or your keys. And again, you can just hold this in your thought. I know I didn't prep everyone to bring a bag with them today. And as we enter a new year of learning and growing, let us together bless these tools that will help foster growth and transformation this year. The response to each line of our shared blessing this morning is, let us transform together. May you feel curiosity all of your days. Let us transform together. May your imagination catch fire. Let us transform together. May you find courage when it is necessary. Let us transform together. May you feel compassion towards those around you and they towards you. Let us transform together. May you feel heard and seen. May you hear and see others. Let us transform together. And may you speak up for those who are not heard and who are not seen. Let us transform together. May it be so. Amen. In just a moment, I am going to invite any of the kids here to join me as we head across the street. But first, I want to invite everyone here to stop by our RE space in Lower Sampson, which is the basement, during coffee hour today, and pick up an RE calendar of all the things that we're doing today. And while you're at it, pick up a volunteer form. I'm going to put a stack of both also on Info Island upstairs for those of you that may not want to venture down this morning. All of our learning and growth here at First Parish is best done when we work together in community. So if there is one event that jumps out at you on this special calendar, maybe it's a prepping of a haunted house for our Halloween service, the annual holiday pageant, or our pride service in the spring, or perhaps it's a theme like interdependence with nature, or fighting for justice and equity that connects with you, come and talk to me. I would love to collaborate with everyone here on like one thing throughout the year. We have fun, I promise. And if you want to think of something that isn't on our calendar, come and talk to me too, because I love the creativity. I try to build a program that's fun, but there's a lot more creativity in this church than just me, so bring it. Okay. That's it. Thank you all. Kids, we can gather in the back of the church to head across the street. Parents are always welcome. Otherwise, parents can stay, enjoy the service, and connect with me after the service during coffee hour. Thank you so much.
Please join us in singing the kids out to our RE space. It is number 413 in the gray hymnal. If you already know the tune, the words are already printed in the order of service. A little bit of a train wreck down there, but that's okay. They're getting there. Bye, everybody. Bye. It's like they all got there and then they just stopped. It's funny.
When we give, we say yes to something we value. In this congregation, we take up an offering each week to say yes to the values of our UU faith and yes to this beloved community. Please give as you are able. Today's offering will be gratefully received. Our offering today is I Am Song by Mark Burrows. Our reading today is pulled from the research of Dr. Brené Brown, who has spent the past 2 decades studying courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy. Per her website, she believes that you have to walk through vulnerability to get to courage. Therefore, embrace the suck. I try to be grateful every day, and my motto right now is courage over comfort. Here's what she has to say about her understanding of power. The most accurate and important definition of power that I've ever come across is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In a 1968 speech given to striking sanitation workers in Memphis, Dr. King defined power as the ability to achieve purpose and effect change. We have a very strange relationship with the word power. We often think of it as negative, as kind of a strong arm experience, where we either feel pressure or something's taken away from us. One of the single worst human experiences for all of us is powerlessness. No one wants to feel powerless. It's a desperate and isolating experience. What makes power dangerous, and what we never talk about, is how power is used. People who use power over others work from the premise that power is finite, that it has to be hoarded and protected. And power over is protected by using fear. Fear is the primary tool for those that lead from a place of power over. Further, people who work from a position of power over believe being right is more important than getting it right. People who work from a position of power with, that is, power with others, have a completely different foundational framework. They believe that power becomes infinite and expands when it's shared with others. There's a core fundamental belief that power with is expansive when we collaborate and when we share it with others. Those who work from a position of power with believe getting it right is more important than being right.
Thank you, Amanda. And thank you, Brene Brown, the voice of empathy and encouragement for so many of us these last few years. So in this month, where we are focusing on the question, how are we digging deep into our world, it felt right to talk about the uses and misuses of power in our culture, in our community, and in ourselves. Because power and how we struggle with it is sneaky and almost often invisible. Not the large-scale power struggles going on in our political system right now. Of course, you can't help but see that. Power often feels like a big topic meant for big, large cultural forces like politics, government, and big picture organized religion. But it is also present in every single interpersonal interaction we have as human beings, every single one, because our primal instincts for self-preservation and safety, going back to when we were cave people, those are rooted deep in our subconscious and are also present in all of our interactions with each other. And those instincts are the ground from which springs our ego, our pride, and yes, our sense and use of power. To paint a large historical picture for just a second, let me say that the legacy that we were all taught in school of this country is one of freedom, yes? We were taught the legacy that America is a free country for you to believe what you want. And I see the smirks, people know where I'm going here already. Because in reality, as we all know, it was freedom for some through the oppression of others. We celebrate a legacy of religious liberty in this country, but for many in power, that religion has to come with a very, very specific God. Our great American democratic experiment has for many marginalized people and communities been an exercise in the sheer abuse of power. The white men and women who came to this country seeking freedom found it, but securing that freedom in part meant the eradication of Native Americans and the oppression of African slaves. So that very, very complicated legacy and its impacts and its repercussions have continued to unspool over the last 400 years. And I think I can say without being credibly argued with that freedom is indeed not freedom for all. The last decade of our lives in this country has made this truth much, much more visible to me than it ever has before. We've watched leaders in our government and business and our culture embrace and exploit the current inequities of our system and built on them to make them even bigger. This behavior is systemic and insidious and not new at all. It's just been made more visible thanks to the work of those who try to pull back the curtain through social justice efforts, through the media, and other forms of truth-telling. The ways power is used and abused by those who possess it is really key to understanding how our culture actually works. You can't understand who we are and how we do things until you understand how a lot of it is around how we wield our power. It's about identifying who holds the power in any situation, large or small. So, our reading this morning laid out two fundamentally different uses of power. There is power over, which Brené Brown described as, quote, working from the premise that power is finite and it has to be hoarded and protected. The other kind of power, power with, is defined as, quote, a power that becomes infinite and expands when it is shared with others. Power over utilizes fear as a means of control. Power with uses love as a means of growth. Power over operates in a scarcity mindset where there's only so much to go around, so you have to hoard and grab and steal as much as you can. Power with operates in a mindset of abundance, where sharing with others is a generative process, ensuring that there will always be enough to go around. Everyone will get just as much pie as they need. Power over is fearful. Power with is loving. Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we already know this, right? We're very well steeped in the culture of power with. Power over has no place in our beloved community. Power with is the friend to inherent worth and dignity, the interconnected web, the democratic process that we embrace, the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And yet there is just as much power over in our religious communities as there is everywhere else. Make no mistake about that. Now, when I say that, you need to consider there's a spectrum here, right? On one end, there's heinous acts like slavery and the eradication of Native Americans and invading other countries and taking their land just because you can. I mean, that's power over writ large. And all the way at the other end of that spectrum, this is the big spectrum, there are a million tiny and often unconscious acts of power over that we all do all the time. Like interrupting someone in the middle of their sentence because your point is more important. That's exerting your power over another person. Like making unilateral decisions without checking in with the people that decision will affect because you think you know best. That is also exerting your power over other people. Like dismissing or belittling the feelings of someone else to their face just because you don't like them very much, or they said that one thing a while ago that hurt your feelings or you disagreed with. That's exerting your power over another person. I see some smiles and nods, so I'm going to guess that a lot of you have had experiences like this, yes? Yes. And some of you may even recall a time in the last week when something like this happened to you. Or maybe you did it to somebody else. Again, we're on both sides of this coin, folks. There's no purity here. We all do both sides all the time. So think about whatever's coming up in your memory about when this happened to you. How did you feel? How did you feel in the moment when it happened? How did you feel after? Take a minute, think about that. Think about the feelings that came up. If you were the one that did it, maybe dismissing that person felt really good. Maybe you thought they deserved it, yeah? Maybe you needed to feel powerful in that moment, and that's why you did it. Maybe you were having a crap day, and you were just like, no, and you shut it down. Again, we all do it. Maybe moving ahead by yourself without checking with others made you feel powerful. Maybe you felt like you were taking control, you were being the boss, you were getting it done. Yeah? That's possible. Now, if you were on the receiving end of one of these moments, maybe being dismissed made you feel really awful. Maybe it soured your mood for an hour or the rest of the day. Maybe you're still holding some resentment against that person. Likely, that could be true. And maybe you're still carrying the hurt of the experience around with you without even realizing it, like a pot that's left on low in the back of the stove. Like I said, we've all been in these positions many, many times. This is a condition that affects all human beings. Like I said, it's part of our primal human nature to lean into self-preservation and self-protection, and this is often the outcome of moments like that. And like it or not, exerting our power can feel good, right? In a world that is often feeling out of control, grabbing a bit of control for good or for bad can feel really good. For some, it's intoxicating. For others, it's how they access their authority. For many, if not most of us, it gives us a tiny moment of control in a day that often feels completely, I don't even know what the word is, out of control. Wrestling with these truths is important because we are all susceptible to the abuses by the mere fact of being born in our human bodies. Now, I want to ask you to think about a time where you felt a moment of power with. A moment of respect, a moment of sharing, a moment of encouraging growth and mutual accountability, as she talked about in the reading. Maybe you were in a meeting and everybody was actually listening to each other and making sure everybody got heard and making sure everybody agreed with the decision before it was made. What a concept, right? Maybe it was like just effective and thorough communication, checking to make sure that someone heard what you needed and making sure you knew what they needed in whatever kind of exchange it was. Maybe when you inadvertently hurt someone's feelings by a comment you made and you reached out to them and you apologized for what you did. Or they reached out and apologized to you and took the time to carefully repair the harm. It's a simple gesture but can have major impact. Because we all know that we can have the best of intentions and we can still cause harm, right? Yeah. Now, hopefully one of those scenarios is coming up in your mind now, and I want to ask you how you feel when you've had a moment of power with, when someone took the time to listen to you, to respect you, to honor what you had to say or feel. How did that feel? What emotions are bubbling up? Does it feel good, positive, affirming? If you were the one who offered that moment of power with, did it feel good and affirming and positive for you? And compare how you're feeling right now with how you were feeling a couple minutes ago when I talked about the power over moment. And see how your outlook shifts when you move back and forth. How do you see the world when you're in a position of power with versus power over? I go through this like so minutely because it's really important to understand how these tiny little moments can have major impacts on how we see the world, how we interact with the world, how one moment of respect and honor and integrity can affect how you treat people for the rest of the day. Because if we want to make this world of peace and justice that we all say we do, the reason we come here, one of the reasons we come here every week, we have to find ways to make the shift in ourselves from power over to power with. The default for a lot of people is power over. So we have to make a conscious choice to make that shift to power with. The civil rights figure Zohara Simmons says it this way: we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. We must change ourselves if we ever expect to change the world. So the big power struggles that we're seeing in the news and on social media, and I am not going there, you're all watching it, you're all seeing it, that's just us writ large. That's just a big, huge, oversized example of the tiny little things that happen every day between us. Everything that happens in the big picture in our culture is a major version of the very minor power struggles that we face every day as humans. So changing ourselves to embrace power with can cause ripples in the larger social fabric, nudging the collective we to do the same. Now, a lot of my thinking on this dynamic has been informed by the voice of Joanna Macy. Has anyone heard of Joanna Macy? I know, a lot of people haven't, but you should. She's amazing. That's okay. I'll explain. She is a Buddhist scholar, she's an author, and she's an environmental activist. And she's also the person who coined a term that has become very important to me, a term called the Great Turning. Has anyone heard the term the Great Turning? It's okay if you haven't. Okay, a couple people. The Great Turning is a realization that we cannot continue to live the way we do in this world without destroying everything, including ourselves. That our lifestyle and our culture are ultimately going to lead to our annihilation. Now, this theory addresses our political systems, our focus on a progressive growth capitalist economy, which basically is the idea that we have to keep growing and getting bigger no matter what. It speaks to the pervasive white supremacist and patriarchal culture in this country, our overinvestment in military defense, and the devastating greed that is consuming our planet and its natural resources. So this is a theory that touches everything. The Great Turning insists that we find a new way to live in relationship with each other, with our resources, and with the planet as a whole. And I find this so inspiring because power with is born in the Great Turning. By shifting our focus from consumption and hoarding to sharing and loving, we generate the possibilities of power with in the world. Our ability to collaborate and cooperate makes our power expansive and infinite. It's generative. The more we love and help each other, the stronger and more resilient we become. So when I think about our world with that kind of framing, the Great Turning, I find hope. That's what gives me hope. I find hope that maybe this seeming culmination, this apex of power over, this moment that I feel like we're in right now, that we've been experiencing, is not the sign of what's to come. Maybe instead of being a sign that things are getting worse, it's actually proof that things are getting better. Now stay with me, I'll explain what I mean. In the recovery community, you sometimes hear the quote, "Things scream loudest when they're dying." Because when things are at their most painful, that can mean that actual change is happening. Progress is being made. Things are moving from one state of being to another. And I think you'll all agree with me that things are pretty loud right now. Yeah? There's a lot of screaming going on. So perhaps these screams are the dying gasps of a system that cannot and will not survive the Great Turning. All the violence and all of the rage that's on display are not symbols of an ever-rising system of greed and domination, but the death throes of a decaying and decrepit one. That perhaps this Great Turning is already well underway, and if we can find a way to hook in, it will guide us into this new life-sustaining civilization that we are all longing to see. Now, this is a long process, of course, but real change happens slowly and with a lot of effort, and we all know that. Our reading this morning reminded me of one of Martin Luther King's most quoted sayings: "Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Power over cannot drive out power over. Only power with can do that." So, my friends, I invite us all to live as if we are in the midst of the Great Turning, because if we believe it, we are, and let us be agents of its progress. We have all suffered under the yoke of scarcity, of hoarding resources, and of hate driven by fear for far too long. It is now time, it is past time, for power with to reign. A power that creates, a power that shares, a power that loves, a power with that means power to all the people, everywhere, every day, everyone. May it be so. Amen. So before we go, I have a few announcements to make. This feels weird to transition right into announcements, but that's okay. I'll get used to it. So today, as Laura Sanda said, is our RE open house, so all parents are welcome to join her in Lower Sampson across the street during our coffee hour to learn more about our religious enrichment program. And if you're interested in volunteering, please go down there too and fill out a form. Today, at 4 o'clock, right here in this meeting house, Angel Vendetti, who's a member of this congregation, and her Cordage Ensemble, which is a chamber music group, are doing a benefit concert for us. It is called On the Side of Love, and it is a whole wonderful program of music, and all of the proceeds are going to the church to help in our rebuild and reparation efforts after the July 4th vandalism. So we are so grateful to them, and you were all invited to come. It's a $20 suggested donation, and again, it's right here at 4 o'clock in the meeting house. Two more announcements. Our caring team is seeking volunteers. How many of you have gotten a phone call or a card or a meal from someone in the caring team? Yeah, quite a few of you have. They do really important work, helping us, those of us in the community when we need it, with support. And so they need some volunteers, not to join the committee, but just to help out with maybe sending cards, dropping off meals, bringing people to church if they need a ride, that sort of thing. So there is a form at Info Island, which is the big table with all the clipboards on it at coffee hour that you can fill out. We hope you'll consider signing up to help. And finally, Matthew Mission Food Pantry, which we support with monthly gatherings of food, just celebrated this past Saturday giving away 10,000 bags of food since they were founded in April of 2021. 10,000 bags of food! It's amazing. Oh, I'm going to tell them you clapped. You'll love that. So we are still collecting for them every month. So non-perishable goods, canned goods, pasta, whatever you have in your pantry or you want to go buy at the store. There's bins in Sampson to collect, and we also need volunteers once a month to deliver the food to the food pantry in Taunton. And that's usually the last Friday of every month. So there is a form, again, at Info Island for that. So if you're interested in helping out with delivering food to the food pantry, I strongly encourage. They're a lovely group of folks, and they're a lot of fun. I go volunteer there once a month, and I just love it. They have a really good time. So please consider that. And that is all. I now invite you to rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, number 295 in the gray hymnal, Sing Out Praises for the Journey. As we extinguish our chalice, may we know our power to share, to respect, and to love the world around us. So go in peace with love for yourselves and one another. Amen.
used to go to? They say in Dublin.
More.
You know.
I used to play that. I used to go to a pub called the Fox in Newcross Gate.
Yeah.
That was something they played every night at closing time.
What's it called?
Ain't you got no home to go to?
Yeah, that's yeah. I know.
Come along.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice job. As usual. No surprise there. What surprises me? Good job.
All right, I'll get up and tank it next time.
Yeah, Fred Cherry. Oh man, they're so boring, you know.
Yeah, oh,
She's always